Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight, first of all, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2025. The year that I hope that everybody has an absolutely wonderful year. Whatever that means for you. If that means more relaxing, if that means more work, if that means more money, if that means more peace, if that means more introspection, if it means more outrospection. Doesn't matter. Whatever you guys need out of 2025, I hope you get. So, with that being said, let's look at the new, it's not new at all, but new to me, Gascogne, the Tier 7 French battleship that is basically the République with 15-inch guns. Now, we've done a review on this way back in the day, but so much has changed with the game, and the ship recently got a buff, so now that I own the ship, because I bought it with 750,000 global XP, now that I own the ship, I figured it was a good time to drop in and say, hey, what can we do? So, we're running the Azure Lane Dunkirk Commander with Dingru Chang and Paolo de Revel for the maximum reload that I can get. Flammable Cannoneer, we've got Frontal Fire, we've got Megalomania, Master Mechanic, and Fight Fire with Fire. Now, one of the things I want to point out is this is not an accuracy build. You can build for accuracy if you want. I don't think you need to. Okay? Just throwing that out there. I go full reload build on this thing. It's not the most accurate all the time, but it's accurate enough most of the time that the extra reload is very nasty. Alright, now. Equipment. We've got Aiming Systems Mod 1. We've got Steering Gears Mod 2. Concealment System Mod. And the Epic Main Battery Mod 3. So for every 30,000 damage, we get a little bit faster reload. Alright, let's look at the loadout. Now, as you can see, you could swap the catapult fighter for a secondary booster or a catapult fighter if you want. It also has the engine boost. We're not running any boosters, but we have the Italian Unity flag, because if you squint just right, kind of looks like a Spartan helmet, and then also the Type 9 camo that comes with the ship. I think. Either that or I unlocked this camo. I don't know. I don't remember. But, yes, I have the Type 9 camo. Survivability is not particularly high, which generally points to the fact that it probably has a better heal than average. So we'll go with that. 60,000 hit points with a 35% torque reduction, which is pretty nice. Especially for a fast battleship, right? Main batteries are 380mm 45 caliber MLE 1935s. You get 8 of them. 2 quadruple turrets. Okay? There are some caveats with these guns. They were buffed to have incredible accuracy, and they are pretty accurate. They will still troll you, but they are mostly accurate nowadays. However, the caveat being, despite the fact that these are only 15-inch guns, and despite the fact that these are only 45 caliber guns, these things have a high velocity, meaning a very flat trajectory, meaning shooting from behind islands is basically impossible. Overpinning cruisers is almost a guaranteed reality, unless they angle or go bow in. But if any battleship, at basically any range, goes broadside, you can absolutely punish them. But cruisers will tend to get overpinned, and that is one downside of this particular ship. Reload. The base reload that with this build is 21.1 seconds, which is pretty crazy. You consider that's right there in the wheelhouse with a Jean Bart, okay? That's pretty crazy. 180-degree turn time is abysmal, as you'd expect, 42.4 seconds. Quadruple turrets, not particularly quick. HE shell maximum damage 5130 with a 36% chance to set fires. AP shell maximum damage 12,350. So, not particularly hard-hitting AP shells for a 15-inch gun. To put that into perspective, you would expect that to be closer to 13,000, I believe, for a 15-inch gun, but still not horrible, but not amazing. AA defense is pretty decent, as you'd expect out of a French battleship. 25mm 60 caliber CAD MLE 1939s. You got 18 of those doing 50 damage per second, reaching out to a respectable 3.1 kilometers. Then you have the 37mm 70 ACAD MLE 1936. You get 16 of those doing 97 damage per second, reaching out to 3.5 kilometers. Then you have the 37mm 50 caliber MLE 1933s. You get 16 of those doing 18 damage per second, reaching out to 3 kilometers. Then you have the 100mm 45 caliber MLE 1933s. You get 16 of those doing 54 damage per second, reaching out to 5 kilometers. And you have the 152mm 55 caliber MLE 1936. You get 9 of those doing 25 damage per second, reaching out to 5 kilometers. So, not crazy AA, but it's okay. It's got decent like base range and stuff. So, while not the most potent AA in the world, it will discourage planes eventually. Maximum speed, 32 knots without the engine boost running, which is very nice. Turning circle radius of 850 meters is pretty average, so not amazing, not terrible. Rudder shift time is actually pretty decent for a battleship at 11 seconds with this build. Concealment, detectability by sea is 13.3, which is actually pretty good for a battleship. Not quite Kansas good, but it's in the neighborhood. 11.2 kilometer detectability by air, guaranteed as always 2, and then a 14.2 smoke firing penalty. Alright, stats are probably going to be terrible. Okay, not as bad as I thought. 60% win rate. I've played 10 battles in this thing total, and that includes the first time that I played the ship back when it was lent to me. The first time I was a CC. But as you can see, main gun accuracy 41% is pretty solid for battleships. Averaging 108,000 damage should tell you everything you need to know. This is a tier 7 battleship, and I'm averaging 108,000 damage with a 2,000 base XP. I'm not having very many bad games in this ship, is what I'm saying. Alright, now let's look at the armor. As you'd expect, 32 millimeters basically everywhere, except where it matters the most. And why do I mean that? Well, you have a turtleback armor scheme, which is nice. Kind of protects you against, up close citadels. But if you go broadside, you're going to get punished, okay? Make no mistake about it. This thing does not enjoy the protections of your Jean Barts, of your Richelieus. This thing is absolutely a massive citadel, and it is above the waterline. As I said, though, it is a turtleback, kind of protects it, but especially anything that comes through the bow or the stern can hit that citadel relatively easy. So if you catch one of these things over-angled and you go through the bow or the stern, I prefer the stern on things like the République, okay? It's very easy to go through that rear cheek and into the citadel, or even the front cheek and into the citadel, but you got to make sure you have the angle to do so. Overview. Fast, above average maximum movement speed. Nimble aim, above, what? Above average main battery traverse speed. Okay, maybe if you were not running certain perks. I don't know. I didn't really look at our perks and negatives. Maybe it's our perks that are causing us to have slow, but like our turrets are like 48 seconds to turn. That would not be what I call nimble. But the Gascogne. A battleship design developed on the basis of a very successful Richelieu class, which received improved AA capabilities and had the main turrets placed in the ship's aft and forward ends. Like her prototype, the ship boasted a high speed and very good torpedo protection. She was designed in 1939. Other than that, there's really not a whole lot you can say about it. It is literally the République with 15-inch guns. Alright? That's about all you need to say about it. So with all of that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we are going to be on Haven in the Gascogne. And I think this is a perfect game to kind of illustrate the strengths and the weaknesses of this particular ship. Now keep in mind, we are not a full accuracy build. You can go that route if you want. And you're not going to be disappointed. These things can be absolute railguns, okay? Just like the Champagne, except Champagne has 16-inch guns and this thing only has 15-inch guns. but they're very, very similar in regards to what they are capable of doing to ships that decide to go broadside. But I would say this, that the Champagne tends to citadel things a little bit more often than even the Gascogne does. And the Champagne doesn't seem to care about cruisers. When cruisers go broadside, they pay just as hard as battleships. But the Gascogne tends to overpin cruisers a lot. And I don't know why. Because the Jean Bart, the Richelieu, they don't overpin cruisers like that. And yeah, for some reason this one does. And they should have, I believe, the same guns. I could be wrong, but I believe they're the same guns. But this thing did just get a buff and got the accuracy of the Champagne. So there's that. Now, just as we get ready to shoot, of course, Bismarck goes dark. And this is one of the more frustrating things, and this has nothing to do with the ship, as it is just your teammates in general. I want you guys to pay attention to what my team does on this flank, and you'll see why I have to do the things I have to do during this match to try to be as relevant as possible. Now, as we push up, the Suja's out here. I'm trying to, like, lay out a shot for the Suja. Can't shoot him because we can't shoot over the island because we have terrible flat trajectories. But that flat trajectory is about to say hello to the Bismarck. Now, you'll notice, not the best hit on the Bismarck. 7,700 damage for 4 hits is kind of low, to be honest. But then we see the Amagi off in the distance, and we've got a little bit of a window to shoot through. And this is something that you should always be trying to pay attention to on any map. But here, we only get one shell to go through, and I'm not going to lie, I was watching that shell, and I'm like, is that going to be the shell of the Dreams? No, it hits low. But yeah, any chance that you get a chance to shoot through those island holes and stuff, take it. There's a reason they exist, and it is because so many people don't understand it. You will absolutely pummel people for making stupid plays because they don't notice that you're able to shoot them. Now, this Bismarck is just, he's walking up in here, you know, his trunk is swinging between his legs. He think he owned the joint. And the Heezen might agree with him that he does in fact own the joint. Our destroyer, not the brightest bulb in the box. And you can see, I'm not really worried about the Bismarck. Maybe I should have been. I don't know. I don't really care about a Bismarck. But I saw an opportunity to potentially hit the Suja. Unfortunately, the Suja was still paying attention. The Bismarck secondary is doing what they do best, which is basically nothing. But occasionally they'll get a fire. Bismarck's still full broadside to us, and this time we're going to get a much better result. I lied. We only get 3 pins, and again, very minimal damage. And that is one thing that I will say seems to be a theme. Unless you Citadel something with this thing, the damage isn't all that impressive for Battleship. Especially considering, you know, what I'm used to shooting, where it seems like even mediocre salvos end up with some pretty nasty hits. Now here we fire the rear turret, 4 shells. That is the kind of grouping that you just look at and you cry. Right? But that is typical of a non-accuracy build French battleship. Anytime that you're going to play a French battleship with a reload build, you're going to get some salvos that look like that. But with the buffs that this thing got to the reload, or not the reload, but the accuracy, you're going to get more shells that look like that, which is mostly horizontal, which is exactly the kind of dispersion that you want when you're shooting at a broadside target. Now, if they're bow in, it's a whole other ballgame, which is what he's about to do. But that is the good thing about French battleships, and a lot of people go unnoticed. They tend to have, more often than not, really bad grouping, but it tends to be mostly horizontal, right? So if you want to buff your accuracy on your French battleships, I would suggest going with a grouping buff. So guys like Andrew Cunningham give you a buff to your shell grouping. That's going to give you a little bit better odds. Because I don't feel like it misses high and low as much as it does just the shells are all over the place, right? It just looks like that classic French shotgun that we talk about. But as we take another shot, the Le Fantasque finally lands a torpedo, and down goes the enemy Bismarck. Now, we've kind of let ourselves burn here. The Suja's not really been a threat. We're just looking for an opportunity. And as he finally decides to commit to going behind the island, he makes a critical error here. You cannot get away with this turn. At least you couldn't get away with this turn if I was in literally any other battleship. But because I'm in the Gascogne, I get 2 overpins, and that's it. If I was in any other battleship and I hit that man in that turn, I could at least get 1 citadel, right? But because I'm in this thing just overpins cruisers all day long. It doesn't matter the range, it doesn't matter the angle. You can hit a cruiser perfectly at maximum range, and it's still going to overpin them. But enemy Z-44 gets himself spotted. Fantask is in a perfect position to intercept. I do believe the Fantask also gets a reload booster, but we get out there, slap that man for almost 5,000, which is about 1/3 of his health, which is a big help to our Fantask. So to his credit, Fantask does what it's supposed to do, which is help get rid of the destroyer, at least initially. Now, we know there's torpedoes coming, but I want to help my destroyer out further, so we're going to go ahead and shoot at the Suja, and then it's time to get skinny and try to avoid getting smashed. But you can see, because the Suja is angled away from us, and we had a terrible angle, we hit that man for 14,000 damage. Most of the shells hit the target. As we turn in here, we get nice and skinny, and this is where the rudder comes in handy. I know it. A lot of people give me crap for my rudder build, but you guys can keep your propulsion mod. I, more often than not, would rather have the rudder ship, and that is just because I'm usually moving. Like I don't do a lot of starting and stopping in my battleships, so I like to be able to do the dreadnought shuffle, and part of that is having the ability to turn a little bit quicker. Instead of a 16-second rudder, we got 11-second rudder. You know, that sort of thing. Which is a big deal when it comes to moving out of the way of battleship, or in a battleship. But Fantask wastes no time, starts coming back, and initially starts going out to the left, and I'm like, dude, it's clear the destroyer was here in the Alpha Cap, and he's still in the cap. I'm confident he's still in the cap. I'm pointing my nose in the direction of the enemy ship, getting ourselves ready to fire our guns. You can see Suja still trying real hard to hit us and failing miserably. We're looking at Flounder over there, don't really have a shot on him. Oosterjotland gets spotted. We're going to go ahead and try to swing out and get a shot on him, but unfortunately by the time we even get a start turn, he disappears. And this is where the friendly Fantask needed to be a little bit more aggressive here. There is absolutely no reason why that this guy should be turning and running from a Oosterjotland when he's got 2 battleships here to help him. Especially one that is clearly in the cap trying to help capture the base and is angled to the point where I can help shoot the thing. But I digress. Dude has lost 1/3 of his hit points and he's terrified to lose more. I get it, but I'm just frustrated as a teammate. Like, dude, I'm here to help you. I can't help if I can't see, right? But this game is going to be incredibly close, folks. It's going to go down to the wire, and every single shot is going to count. Now here, it says I can't make this shot, but I got to try, right? You miss all the shots you don't take. And I know we have a really flat trajectory, but I was hoping that I could get these shots over the island. Didn't quite work out. You can see we are using the island in front of us to protect us from the Oosterjotland's torps. We're able to get this cap, and again, every point matters in these matches, man. So many people neglect to grab caps around the 6-minute mark for whatever reason. If you can get the caps before 5 minutes is up, like if you, in the last 5 minutes, you basically need to go for kills, because it's going to take you 1.5 minutes to capture a base, roughly, right? So there does become a point where you got to give up trying to capture bases. However, now is not that time. So now we've got 2 caps. We kill a couple of people and we're right in the running, right? Now the Fantask, now that the battleships are leaving him behind, now he decides he wants to go out there and fight the guy. And when you see the result of the fight, you'll know exactly why I got frustrated when he didn't fight him to begin with. Fantask is a fantastic gunboat. It just is. All the French destroyers really are pretty nasty. They hit so hard, and they got decent reloads, and I'm pretty sure that most of them have reload boosters from like tier 5 up, right? And you can see, once again, I am going to take a shot to try to help him. He's got his engine knocked out, so I may have overled him a little bit here. But unfortunately, we're not going to hit any shells on this particular salvo, but we tried, right? Now, the next thing that's left is another destroyer over here, which is a Friesland in the Charlie cap currently. I am moving into the Bravo cap to deny them some more points. I have my engine boost running because I have to get across the map to put myself in position to attack these cruisers. We are down by 130 points, right? A little more than that, but 130 points. We can't afford to lose anybody else. If we do, we lose the game. So I need to put myself in a position that in case that happens, I can at least try to help get rid of these freaking cruisers. Now, as we get into the cap here, we've got the Dmitry Donskoy pushing in a little bit too aggressively, but he's bow in, and we're going to be able to reach out and touch him. And we get a couple of hits straight into the front of a ship, somehow overpinning him. Not sure where those shells landed. Maybe they landed a little high, hit a superstructure, whatever. But I know the destroyer's here. He's spotting me. I know he's going to take a shot at me to reset my progress, because that's what I would be doing, right? So I'm just waiting for him to light up. He never lights up. The Suja ends up resetting my progress, and then I go ahead, turn away, and then the moment I turn away, the enemy Friesland does fire at me and get himself detected. Now, we are currently down by, what would be 200 points, not quite 200 points, so we are catching up to them a little bit, because we're denying them points, but then they swap the cap on us. So now they are getting further and further away, but this Dmitry makes a huge mistake by pushing in closer and closer, right? Now, why would you, in a cruiser that has torpedoes, push up closer and closer to a battleship that can easily kill you when you have the points lead? There's only one answer to that, and that is, I have torpedoes, and I'm wanting to use them, right? We have the Suja out here. We know he has torpedoes. He has longer range torpedoes, so we got to be cognizant of that. We get a shot at the Suja, and unfortunately, the dude is shown, once again, he is paying attention, and he gets away from those. But we are no longer have our engine boost running, but the torpedoes come in from a pretty steep angle. We're just fast enough to avoid most of them. We do get one, but we've got our damage control ready. And this Dmitry Donskoy, I mean, this man should just be dead here. And unfortunately, there's the 5 overpins again. Just showcasing what I mean about this thing just overpins cruisers all day long. All day long. If this was a Jean Bart, Richelieu, any other battleship, that Dmitry Donskoy is a dead man. We hit him dead center of mass with 6 rounds. And he walks away from it. Then he turns away, and we absolutely clobber him because we can overmatch his back and go right through the back door on him. But he's playing around, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Friesland, because he had to shoot at me, gets himself killed. Dmitry Donskoy over here is put himself in a bad position he can't get out of. And we are once again reaching out, slapping him. 4 more overpins, but our battleship buddy is putting himself in a good position to help counter him. And then notice that I'm not just sailing towards the Dmitry. I'm pinning the Suja to the border. He can't run away any further. This is something that a lot of people just don't do, right? When you're going after these kiting cruisers or a destroyer, you've got to push them out of bounds. Make it to where they can't possibly run any further, right? And because of that, we are now 9 kilometers away from him. Now, I know that he's probably sent torps. He's got to have his torps back by now, right? But I can't care. We have less than a minute to go, and I have to get rid of this man. And we only hit him with 2 shells there as he's using the border to try to gain an advantage here. A little bit of physics abuse, but this is why I did this. I had to force him to the border for this reason. And I know I'm going to get torpedoed here, but I've got to sell out because I only get 2 more shots. I get this shot and 1 more, essentially. And this is the one where we finally catch a Citadel on him. We're going to eat a torpedo, but only 1. And we get lucky it's not a flood. But even if it was a flood, we're going to get 1 more shot, and we only need 1 to kill this man. Even if he got the flood there, I don't think it would have mattered because now he goes stern to us, and that's the end of the game. But right down to the wire, less than 30 seconds left in the match, we end up pulling it. I think it was like 14 seconds when we got the last kill. 132,000 with a 3K base XP, top of the leaderboard. Le Fantasque coming in clutch late as well. He had his moments, but he did his job eventually. And between us, we all managed to pull it home. So let me know what you guys think. Have you tried out the new Gascogne since it was buffed? What do you think? Do you agree that it overpins too much for whatever reason? I'd be interesting to know. And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.